This next one actually has a lot of firsts for me. This was my first ever stitch along, and really enjoyed stitch alongs, to be honest. Having no one to stitch with, having the online community do stitch alongs is a fantastic idea, and I really love it. I don't take part in them as much as I used to, and I miss that, but that's purely because there's certain things I want to get done, and I will certainly go back to stitch alongs in the future. This one was with Clouds Factory, and it's the Magical Creatures calendar for 2000. It was released in 2014, and there it is there. And as you can see, I finished this as a wall hanging. This is on the recommended 32 count linen, hand dyed, in the colour called Magical Clouds, and that was by Dove Stitch. This particular design also had the option to use Weeks Dye Works threads. I chose just to use the DMC because of the cost of the linen and the chart and everything else. It was already a little bit pricey, so I decided to keep the cost down by stitching it in DMC. This is my first ever calendar project, my first mystery project, because with this one you didn't know what the end design was going to look like. There was a part released each month, and you obviously didn't find out what the complete design looked like until you got to the end. But it was magical creatures, and I like fantasy, and I just knew I was going to like it. Really love the colours that were used. The white is glow in the dark DMC, which was horrible to stitch. It's going to change arms. It was horrible to stitch. I don't like the glow in the dark DMC. It's got a different texture to it that I don't really enjoy, but I do like the glow in the dark effect. So the way it works is it basically has to charge under a bright light for quite some time, and then you turn the lights off and all the white bits will glow, and it's a really nice effect and great for Halloween pieces too, if anyone's interested in that. This was my first time I had ever stitched on hand-dyed fabric as well, which was lovely. There were also different options for the end here, whatever you wanted to put in there, but I chose to put the year that I completed it. This fabric also was a sparkle effect, although it really doesn't show, so I think it's quite unlike the sparkle fabrics that you get from Colour Cascades and hand-dyed fabrics from Stephanie, where they're actually stitched in. This sparkle fabric looked more like it was a sprayed on type fabric, so considering the cost, I wouldn't be using that again. I like the stitched in sparkle much better, because obviously it's going to stay there. So yeah, very happy with how that one turned out. Very pleased. And if anyone's interested, I have a tutorial also on how to make a wall hanging like this. Obviously not exactly like this with the double colours, but it's easy enough to work that out. Next on the list is May Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks. And I really loved this one because I just loved the colours of the house. And who doesn't want a pink and turquoise house? I just think it would be so cute. And there is my finish. So I started this one on the 1st of May and finished it on the 10th of May. And as much as I love the American one, I still think this one is my favourite, purely because of the colours, the little pink birdhouse, which I love, the little beehive there, and these are all little bees. And I've just realised my bird doesn't have an eye, which is a bit sad. For some reason, some of the charts, the birds haven't got eyes, and some of them have. And I've added the ones that I realised, but I missed that one. So this is a blind blue bird. That's a bit sad, isn't it? Again, same fabric as the others, 28 count lambswool linen. And I've finished this one in just a plain pink with, I don't know if it's whether you'd call that turquoise or aqua, but the bow looks more like an aqua colour to me. So some of them I've gone for patterns and some of them I've gone for plains. Just like to change it up a little bit. So that was a lot of fun. And then we have May the Luck by Love Thy Thread. And this was a freebie design on their website. And this was a stitch along with Cross Stitch It's Fun group for St. Patrick's Day. And being as I have an Irish background, I really wanted to take part in this. So I found this one and I thought this would be a nice quick stitch. It was actually a lot bigger than I realised. Here is my finish here. And you can see I've turned it into a pillow. I stitched this on 18 count antique white Aida. And you can see in the leaf there, it's got a lot of variation in the greens, which is nice. And that's not variegated thread, that's just different shades of green. If anyone's interested, there is a tutorial on how to make a cushion. This one has mitered corners, something a little bit different. And on the back I've just used the same fabric. So this is all stuffed with wadding. It's not removable, the pillow isn't removable on the inside. So I just wanted something to go on my lounge chair. So that was a lot of fun. And I forgot to say that I started this one on the 13th of March and finished it on the 16th of March. So it didn't take me too long, but certainly not the one day that I actually thought it would. Next is a gold collection kit that I purchased and was my first gold collection that I'd ever stitched, called Memory Lane. I still have the whole bag here. The original price of $80.60 Australian. And that is the design there, called Memory Lane. And this was a kit, so everything was included. And I still have the leftover threads. Don't ask me why I keep these things. Prior to framing, I think there is a need to keep them in case when you wash it, something goes wrong and you need to restitch it. But once it's framed and up on the wall, really, why do I keep on with it? Anyway, here is my finish. This is up in my home. There it is there. This one was professionally framed. It has French knots. Go a bit closer so you can see. Now this design caught my eye because it reminded me of what a country street would look like in England, and that is where my parents are from. I was very interested in all the flowers, the different colours of the flowers, the different textures. Just really, really loved the design. The stitching up the top, the sky detail is all done in half stitches to give the 3D effect. This was stitched back in 2001. It was finished and it was stitched on 16 count Dove Grey Aida, which was included in the kit. Obviously all the threads that were included were used, and this was stitched 3/1. So it's a nice full effect, no background fabric showing other than the sky where it's meant to. And as I said, this is my first Gold Collections kit and just love their stuff. Very professional, very easy to follow. And the finished design looks exactly like the image, which makes us happy, doesn't it? Next on the list is Mirabilia Mermaid of Atlantis. My first ever Mirabilia design, and I loved her, loved stitching her. Now I did her on 28 count Mushroom Lugana. I started her on the 1st of January, which was a stitch along with Mrs. Milky Bar Kid, and I finished her on the 6th of April. So altogether 32 days of stitching and 150 hours all up, including the beading, including the metallics. Now the few first, obviously my first Mirabilia, which I mentioned, first time using hand-dyed silks, and in this one they were Karen water lilies. So they are through her hair and in her tail. So where you can see here where it changes the turquoise and aqua colours, that's all the silks. Just beautiful thread, absolutely stunning to use. This also was my first time stitching the skin 1/1. and I loved how it came out. It took forever to do, but it just looks so delicate, doesn't it? Really enjoyed that. 2/2 full crosses, and that's it for that one. Just loved it. Still trying to figure out a frame for this one and exactly where she's going to go, but this one will be for my daughter because she has similar hair, reminds me of her. Now this next one, I actually have a copy of the image of the chart, but I no longer have the chart. It is called Mickey and Minnie Portrait by Leisure Arts. And I think this was a kit. Yes, it was a kit. And I'll include a picture of my stitch here. I stitched this one for my niece's 16th birthday present. And I stitched it on the 14 count Ada that came in the kit. And it was finished in 1999. Unfortunately, that's all I know of it. My niece is a huge Mickey Mouse fan, so I knew that this would be perfect for her. And I also had a plaque made up to attach to the front of the frame commemorating her special birthday, and she really loved it, and it was a pleasure giving her something that I knew she would treasure. And we're going back to bibs again. So this one is another Sam Hawkins design, and this is Mum's Little Mess. Obviously American, because we spell mum in Australia M-U-M, and you guys spell it M-O-M. But either way, it doesn't matter with this one because it's a love heart. Really loved this one. So this one's a bit different than the others, and this is a yellow bib instead of white. 14 count again, stitched 2/1, super easy. Another pristine bib, never to be used. And next is Motherly Devotion by Jayne, Netley, Mayhew, and you all know how much I love this design. This is from Cross Stitch Collection magazine. This is what the magazine looks like. And obviously I have the paper magazine, but there is also a digital version of this magazine if anyone is interested. It is September 2012 edition, and you'll see this on the cover. So this is my stitching, and I love this so much. I love the detail. I love how it looks just like a photograph. I've already told you before why this one is special to me, so I'm not going to go into that again because I'm pretty sure you've all seen it. This is stitched on 28 count Lugana fabric from Colour Cascades called Clouds. Obviously it represents the sky, which is what I wanted. I wanted something to look like a photograph. This was my first time stitching on fabric from Colour Cascades, and I must say the fabric is gorgeous. They are an Australian company and I highly recommend them. This was also my first Jayne, Netley, Mayhew design, and I love so many of her designs, so it was just so wonderful to finally get one stitched. I really am thinking about doing the other giraffe design that she has, as well as the meerkats. Really love that one too. Love the little meerkats at the zoo. So this design took me 18 days to finish and 78.25 hours. I used the parking technique. I didn't to start with. I started off using the normal stitching technique, but there was so much confetti in this design. It doesn't look like it, but trust me, there is a lot of confetti. So I switched over to the parking technique and didn't look back, and I managed to finish it up quite quickly after that. So, still deciding on a frame for this one as well. Someone suggested a bamboo frame, which I thought would look really nice, would tie in with the whole safari type look as well. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that. Next is another Ursula Michaels cloud design, which I showed earlier, that was torn from a magazine. And this one is called My Valentine. And I made this one for my husband for Valentine's Day and put it in a lovely white frame. This is on 18 count white Ada. This was my a Valentine's stitch along with Cross Stitches Fun Group. Obviously my first Valentine design that I have ever stitched. My first word cloud, so this was the first of the 3 that I ended up making from Ursula Michaels. And I got a lovely, nice cheap frame to put it in, and I just love the finish. Very, very happy with that. And I started and finished this on the 1st of February for the stitch along. So very easy. I just love designs with words in them. They look so complex, but they stitch up so quick, which is a great thing. Next on the list is Needleworker by Little House Needleworks. That's what the pack looks like. And there is the design. And here is my finish, which is all framed. So I do get some things framed, guys. I'll show it that way there's less glare for you. So this one I started on the 25th of May and finished it on the 29th of May. Stitched this with a few friends on Instagram. This was stitched with, this actual design came with the thread, the hand-dyed thread, which is awesome. Crescent colours is what the hand-dyed thread was, and that was my first time using those, and they were really nice. I also stitched it on the recommended fabric, which was 30 count creek bed brown linen by R&R Reproductions. That was quite expensive for, you know, the Australian dollar conversion. And I know a couple of the other ladies stitched it on their own fabric, which still looked fabulous. So you don't need to stitch it on the recommended. In fact, if I was to stitch it again, I would certainly find something much cheaper to stitch it on. I changed it up a bit by adding a strand of silver filament to the needle, because to me the needle didn't stand out very much on that colour fabric. So I don't know if it will show up in the camera there, but I just wanted a little bit of sparkle that a needle would have. This was my first time doing my signature too on this design. And I was going to frame this myself, but the linen, it was horrible. It was horrible to stretch properly, and you've got 2 very defined lines in this, across the top and the bottom. And when it was nice and straight in one part, as soon as I moved it, then the whole thing moved. It was horrible. So I was lucky enough to get a very cheap, it cost me $5 frame from the second-hand shop, and I just got the picture framer to cut me a new mat board and to stretch the cross stitch and put it in the frame for me. So all up it cost me $45, I think, to have it all framed and done. Bargain. Certainly saved me a lot of time. At the moment, it needs to find a place on the wall behind me, either that or next to me, my stitching corner. At the moment it's hanging up somewhere else, but it's not in its permanent home yet. And then we have my very first Easter design, which was called Refl-egg-tions, and this is an image from the internet. This was a free design by Pelin Tezer, and this is the actual design there. And I stitched this on 28 count raw linen, and I'm sorry, it was rolled, but as I said, linen doesn't like to sit nicely rolled, and it sort of folded itself. So here it is here. I stitched it, basically this particular design, you choose whatever colours you want to choose. So I chose purple, just the colour for Lent. And as you can see here, I finished it as a wall hanging, so I can put it up around Easter time in my home. I've just realised that I didn't sign this one, so that was very naughty of me. I really love the different designs on the eggs. It was so much fun to stitch. And I can really see myself doing this one again, and I don't say that very often. I don't like to stitch the same thing twice, but I'd like to stitch it again in another colour version, or maybe even in a rainbow thread, or different colours for different eggs. I don't know, but there's just so many ways this would look nice. And each egg would actually even look nice as an Easter card. And I don't normally give Easter cards, but it would be nice. So I started this one on the 23rd of February, and finished on the 24th of March. And the colour I used was DMC 208 for that. And the back of it is just cotton. It's just a plain cotton wall hanging. And this one is featured in my tutorial on how to make wall hangings. The next one is another stitch along that I did for the Cross Stitches Fun group. Their stitch along was quotes, and I had found this design previously and I just needed an excuse to stitch it, and it's called Romantic Moonlight. I love that saying, love you to the moon and back. So this was from a magazine which I haven't written down. I still have the magazine, so if I remember to do it, I'll put the details down below. The designer's name is Emma Congdon, and this was stitched on 32 count lamb's wool linen. And as you can see, look, I haven't washed it, you can still see the outline of where it sat in the frame. And that's because I was going to finish it within the frame. I was going to put some felt backing on it and finish it. But then I took it out because I had some other ideas in mind, and then I was undecided, so I didn't put it back on. I changed some of the colours. So I swapped DMC 3810 and 3811 for DMC 517 and 519. So they were the colours of the moon himself. And I also added some sparkle, so some blending filament in there. And the stars, they're sparkly as well. Don't know if they're going to come up very well. You can sort of see it if I move it around. So it was my very first quote that I've ever stitched, and I can see myself stitching a lot because anyone that knows me knows that I love quotes. And this was just really quick. I started this on the 16th of January and finished it on the 23rd of January. The next one is my very first gold collection Petites that I stitched, and I actually purchased this at one of the craft shows, and it's one of those kits that I looked at, oh yeah, that's okay. But this particular lady at her stall actually had all the designs stitched up and framed on her wall. And it was then that I fell in love with it. Once I saw it stitched, I have to have that. So I bought it. And then obviously I went a little bit crazy and bought quite a few. I've stitched one other gold collection Petites, which you haven't seen yet. And I've got about 6 more that I have yet to stitch. They're great little kits. Everything's included. Instructions are really easy to follow, and they're really quick to stitch up, which is what I like. So anyway, I digress. This is called Santa's Secret. And it's just cheaply framed. It's just been shoved in a frame. But isn't he a darling? Love him. I started him on the 12th of November 2013 and finished him on the 20th of December 2013. The fabric is 18 count white Aida. This was also my very first Christmas design that I've stitched. I have a lot of Christmas patterns. Haven't stitched any of them until this guy. First time doing couching, which is around the glasses, which is challenging, especially with metallic thread, but it really adds to the effect. I think he's so realistic. So this was up for my Christmas 2013. So I actually hope to have a Christmas design stitched for each year. My wall hanging that I showed previously, the magical creatures, that is my Christmas design for 2014 because it's quite Christmas looking with the snow and everything on there. So this year there'll be something new. And the next thing I have to show you just happens to be my second gold collection Petites kit that I ever stitched, and I don't have the packaging for that one either. And this one is called Seashell Treasures, and it's gotten a little bit mangled up in the storage. This one was really quick to stitch. I started this on the 26th of December 2013 and finished it on the 6th of January 2014. It's 18 count ivory Ada, and obviously everything was included in the kit. And just love the back stitching effects on those shells. I'm going to do a close-up so you can see better. And I hope that's clear. So yeah, just a lovely quick little design, and I know a lot of you like seashells, as do I, and I thought that would be nice framed and put up in the bathroom. And I haven't done anything about that one yet either. Actually, just looking at it, make a nice pillow too. And this is the last cottage so far this year that I have completed, and this one is September Cottage, which is a schoolhouse. And this is my finish. Fully finished. So same fabric as the others. This one was started 1st of September and finished on the 27th of September. This one was a really late finish because I just could not find the time in September to work on this one. Really love the apples on this. And the colours are so pretty, and I found the perfect fabric. It's bright green apple fabric, which I finished with the red trim and then the darker green, which is in the stem of the apples, darker green ribbon. So I was really happy with that one. And I mentioned in a previous video that I gave my birds eyes, because otherwise they were blind. Next one is another bib that I gave as a gift, and I'll insert a picture here. This one's called Snips Snails, and it's by Sam Hawkins. And I can't tell you when I started it or when I finished it, or even who I gave it to. But it was done on 14 count Ada, and this one was a blue bib. And I just liked the little verse on there and a little puppy dog, so it was really cute. And I know whoever I gave it to appreciated it, which is always nice. So as you can see, a few bibs. I've still got one more to show you. Actually, I should have said two more. So there's this next one is called Baby's Best Bibs, and it's from Leisure Arts. Told you I had a lot of baby designs. So there's a lot on there, and this is the one I'm going to show you, this one down here. There's even more on the back. Aren't they gorgeous? Okay, so I'm going to insert a picture of the bib that I made here. Now this one was another gift for someone who I can't remember. These are most likely my nieces and nephews. But yeah, I didn't really make note of that. And this is a bad photo because it's a photo of a photo. This was 14 count white baby bib again. And just liked the teddy on this, teddy and the stars. All babies like teddies, don't they? So these bibs are actually by Linda Gillam as well, which I didn't mention. Next one is another card that I did for my mum for Mother's Day. Very first Mother's Day card that I have ever stitched. And this was taken from a magazine, and it's the Thank Heaven series by Joan Elliott. And there's 4 young ladies there. And I loved all of these, and it was really hard for me to choose which one. So I got my daughter to help me, and we chose this one. So I'm going to insert a picture here of what I actually stitched. So this was stitched on 14 count white Ada, and I started it on the 27th of March this year and finished on 4th of April this year. And as I said, this was a Mother's Day card for my mum, who loves purple, and she really loved this card. And she's actually told me that she'd actually like to frame it to have it as a keepsake forever, which is really nice. But I can see myself stitching the rest of these for Mum each Mother's Day because they're just such lovely designs. So next one is another framed piece that takes pride of place in my home. It's called The Big Cats, in particular Leopard. All I have is a photocopy image of what the chart book looked like. That's it there. So it shows the different cats that are included in the chart. and this is the one I stitched. And my friend Val has actually also stitched this one as well. And it's quite big. I actually changed the dimensions of this piece. And I'm really sorry about the glare. So I'm going to have to put this one down because it is heavy. Because you can see how big it is. So this one, I don't know when I stitched it. It was a long time ago. I'm pretty certain it was my very first design ever stitched on black fabric, so it was challenging, and it took me quite a while to realise that if you actually have a light shining through underneath your fabric, you can then see the holes. I was working night shift at the time, and obviously very tired, and yeah, I think this took me about 18 months to finish this design. Now, without having the chart on me, I can't give you the details, but I remember that the dimensions of the chart turned out that the whole design was going to be really small, and I loved it so much, and I didn't want it to be small. I wanted it to be as big as I could possibly make it. So I thought, well, I'll just double everything, which was great. But when you double everything, you have to remember to also double the width around your fabric for framing, and I didn't do that. So this was actually, I stitched this on 14 count black Aida, and I stitched it over 2. So that is equivalent to 7 count Aida, which is massive. And my cat has now decided to come and visit. Hello. So, Angel, move out the way, darling. So I stitched this over 2 with 4 threads, and I realise now it's not really enough coverage. It worked out well because it's on black, and you know, it tones in well with his colours. But looking at it close up, it would have been much nicer stitched maybe with 6 threads. So as I said, everything was doubled except for the width. And when it was finished, you can see here, there wasn't enough border left. So I took it to the picture framer. They figured it out. They figured what to do. Saying down the bottom by his paw, I would have liked there to have been more of a border before the frame started. Anyway, funny story, I picked it up. I actually used a new framer for this design, and I picked it up, got it home, hung it up on the wall, and I was looking at it thinking, something doesn't look right, something's wrong with it. And as I got closer, I noticed that one of the threads had actually come out of the fabric, like the stitch had come out and was just laying on the top of the other stitches, the end threads, and they had framed it that way. And it wasn't like that when I dropped it off, so maybe their stretching process had just popped out, and so it had to be returned so they could fix it, which they did, and then it happened again. So they had to fix it twice. Needless to say, I didn't use that picture framer again. I've never had that problem before, and I've never had that problem since. So I don't know what they did. But anyway, very happy with this one. This hangs in our home theatre, and he's a big, beautiful leopard. Next one is another card. Never made cards before this year. This year I've just made so many, and it's been so wonderful. This one was done for a very special friend on YouTube, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because she might not want me to. The design is called Thinking of You, and it's by Joan Elliott Designs, and I got the design from this book, which is Joan Elliott's cross-stitch greeting card book, which I actually need to do a video review of because this is a fantastic book. So many beautiful card designs in here, and I've actually already stitched quite a few of them. So this is the design I stitched, and it's called Thinking of You, which is this one up here. and I'll insert a picture here of the one that I stitched. So I started this on the 21st of July this year and finished on the 1st of August. It's stitched on 14 count white Aida. And it was a really lovely, easy stitch. Again, Joan Elliott, she's just fantastic with her colour choices. I didn't need to change anything. And it was just such a delight to stitch. And I know the lady that received it enjoyed it. This particular card features in one of my tutorial videos on how to make an aperture card. And I just like how I finished it with the ribbon there on the side. So that was a really fun one to do. Now this next one, I don't have a photograph of the finished image or the image to show you. All I have is the chart. And thankfully, I only obtained this chart recently because what happened was I stitched this design and I had no intentions of framing it. I just stitched it because, and with like a lot of the things that I do stitch, I stitch it for the enjoyment of stitching it. Not necessarily because I want to put it up on a wall or give it to someone. I like something and I think I would enjoy stitching that, so I stitch it. And ultimately that's why a lot of my things don't end up framed, because that wasn't their purpose. And this was one of those things. Anyway, I stitched it up and I put it away in a cupboard, and then someone in the family wanted to purchase something and I sold it to them. And I'm regretting that now because I would actually like to have it in my possession. Anyway, after I sold it to them, I then didn't see the need to hang on to the chart, so I got rid of the chart as well. And it wasn't until recently that I saw someone selling this chart secondhand and I snapped it up, because I knew that this was my opportunity to then stitch this design again so I could have it in my own home. So this is called Tropical Fish Tales and it's by True Colours. And this is the chart. And the design I stitched was this one. And I stitched it on the 14 count black Aida, like it's shown there. And I can tell you these colours are so vibrant. They are stunning, just like the real tropical fish that you see. And I love tropical fish, but I don't like fish tanks. I don't like cleaning them. They're very messy and it's just another chore. So I need to stitch this one up again so that I can enjoy tropical fish without having to clean it. So I'm very, very happy to have this chart back in my possession. And these charts are great because they're full colour and they're always nice to follow. So that is that. This next one, another favourite of mine because I love all things Egyptian. This is called, the chart is called Valley of the King's Egyptian Rulers by Great Big Graphs. And this includes Tutankhamen and Nefertiti. And I have stitched Tutankhamen, but I still want to stitch Nefertiti as well. And I have my working copy still in there. And this is mine. And he's just so beautiful and sparkly. I can't believe how unbelievably sparkly he is. So this is stitched on 25 count navy Lugana, as recommended. Stitched 3/2. And this was my first time I've ever used metallics. First time ever. So I quickly found out how much I disliked them, and then found other ways to stitch with them to make it easier, which I've mentioned in my metallics video. But I just love him, and the plan was for him to go up in the study, and I think we will still do that. This next one, I'm not sure where the chart has gone. I must have sold it. It is called Under the Oaks, and it's by Barbara and Cheryl. And I really don't know what drew me to this piece. Again, it was something that I thought I would just thoroughly enjoy stitching at the time, which I did. I do like the wrought iron gate, which is all back stitched. But I don't have a two-story house, and I don't know, it's lovely, but I can't see myself ever framing this. I don't know, when I stitched it, it was a long time ago. It's done on 14 count Aida. That's how I can tell it was done a long time ago, because that's what I used to always use. Very easy. It's a full coverage design. And yeah, not a lot to say about it other than it's a nice piece, but not sure that I'll ever frame it and have it hanging in my home. Next one is a wedding piece that I did for my best friend who got married, and I'll insert a picture here. This was finished in October of 1992 and was a wedding present for her wedding. I don't think I have the original chart anymore, but that was a fun design to stitch, and my first ever wedding stitch that I have made for someone. Now, if you remember back, I mentioned a Jeremiah Junction design that I had hanging in my kitchen, and it was one of two that I had hanging. This is the second one. I don't know what this particular design is called, but this one is still hanging in my kitchen. It is badly framed, very, very cheaply framed. And I love the cat on this one. And again, a lot of detail, a lot of back stitching to bring out that detail. But I just love all the little things in there. Little quilt blocks and little spice rack over here. It's just gorgeous. So this was finished in 1996 and has been hanging in my kitchen of each home since then. And the next one I did was a birth sampler for my son, and I don't have any of the details for it, I'm sorry. And obviously his birthday's covered up for privacy, but there it is there. And I chose this particular design because he actually did look like that as a baby, and I wanted it to resemble him as much as possible. So this was stitched in the year 2000, and it was stitched on 14 count white Aida. And again, didn't get framed, which is a shame. This is a lovely design. Okay, I found two more bibs. So there's this one, which is some clowns, and I don't know where the design came from. It's the bib there. I don't know where the design came from or who the designer was. Probably from a magazine. Super cute and fun. This was done on a peach colour, 14 count baby bib. And just another fun one that ended up in storage just like the rest of them. And yet another bib. I'll insert a picture here of this one. Again, I don't know who the designer was of this one or where it came from, but this one's a little bit different in that I was able to purchase a baby bib with the patterns already on the fabric, which was really nice. So I thought this particular design really suited that, and it's just nice, bright and very festive. So this was given as a gift again to somebody that I'm not sure of, so hopefully they got a lot of use out of it. I know it was very fun to stitch. Obviously I thoroughly enjoyed stitching these baby bibs, otherwise I wouldn't have done so many of them. But yeah, they are great fun. And next is a hand towel that I stitched for my daughter, and I know that she still does have this somewhere, but I'm not really sure where it is. So for now I'm going to insert a photo, and I'm sorry because it is a really bad photo. It's very old. This one would have been stitched when she was very young. It's on a 14 count pink fingertip towel, and as you can see there, it's personalised with her name, the lovely flower and some butterflies. And yeah, it's in her bedroom somewhere in her drawers. That was really enjoyable to stitch. Next one again is a photograph that I will insert here. This is an Afghan blanket that I stitched for my nephew for his christening, and this was finished in 1998. And as you can see in the photograph there, it contains all the Beatrix Potter characters, and I know my sister was very thrilled with this gift because she likes to hold on to sentimental presents. So this one will be cherished for quite some time. Next is a design that I stitched using an alphabet template for my daughter's library school bag. So I'll insert a picture here. So what I did was I stitched this on normal Aida fabric. I don't actually have a record of what size Aida it was, but it was probably 14 count. And it has a beach theme, as you can see there. And all I did was I frayed the edges and then I sewed Velcro onto the back and then Velcro onto the library bag. And I did it that way so that I could remove it for washing. And she loved that. She took that to school each day and she felt really special that she had a library bag with her name personalised on it in that way. And I'm pretty sure we still have this around the house somewhere. Somewhere amongst the pile of stuff that's all having a party together. Next one is a gift that I stitched for my mum. It was a beautiful poem that I found in a magazine, and I don't have any of the details. I don't even know what it was called, so I'm really sorry because I know one of you ladies has asked me before, and I really can't recollect where it came from. I'll insert a picture here. As you can see, it's called Mother, and you'll notice the name at the bottom. That is my maiden name. So I can tell by that this was stitched prior to 1995 because I was married in 1995. And I know Mum absolutely loves this design. She loves the flowers, she loves the wording, and it's a really terrible photo, so I'm sorry about that. You can't see it properly in its frame. It was professionally framed. It looks a little bit buckled up in that photo there. It's just a bad photo because it is a stunning design and it is very well framed. And I really enjoyed stitching that, and that has pride of place on the wall in her home where she can look at it every day and remember that I stitched that for her, which is really nice. And I'll actually be stitching my second design for her very soon. She's chosen a Mirabilia, so that will be nice to actually have another design that I can say that I have done especially for her. Next one, another very special one to me for sentimental reasons. It's by Stony Creek and it's called Our Special Day, and it's a wedding remembrance book. This is the design I'll be showing you, and there's some other designs on there as well. And oops, some more in the middle. And this is my finish, and it's very big. This was professionally framed. It is very heavy. Here it is there. So this particular design is called Victorian Wedding Remembrance. It is stitched on the recommended 11 count Aida. Stitched 2/1, which in my mind now is not enough for 11 count. 11 count needs to be at least 3/1 for the coverage. But from a distance it looks fine. Again, knowing what I know now, I would change it. This was my first time beading, so there's not a lot of beads in there, but there are beads. There are beads just down along here. They were stitched as a half stitch, so they are not sitting in their correct place, which is annoying. I didn't know anything about beading back then, so I just followed the directions. Now I like to finish my beads as a cross stitch, so it secures them completely. This particular design I stitched in the lead up to my wedding so that it could be at the wedding reception with us, and I had a major fail with this. This was in my stitching frame, and the oils from my arms had transferred over onto the fabric, and there was a a bit of a dark mark there. So again, not knowing how to wash things properly, I tried washing it and dabbing it with a bit of bleach, and it turned the whole stain yellow, and it was unfixable, completely unfixable. Couldn't stitch over it, couldn't do anything with it. And at this stage it was 3/4 finished, so I actually had to restart it all over again, and there was a mad rush to get it finished by my wedding, which I did because I'm very determined. So I'm grateful that I stuck with it, but really all I had to do is wash it in a little bit of dishwashing liquid and I'm sure it would have come out, but I didn't know that at the time. So yeah, very happy with this one. As I said, professionally framed. The colours were chosen because they were my bridesmaids colours, and they fit in with the flowers as well. And yes, so that was finished in 1995. 2 to go. We're almost finished. This particular design I don't have the chart for anymore. This was by Cross My Heart, and it's called Wesley Cottage, and this was my first ever cottage that I stitched, and it's just a little English cottage there. This was where my love of cottages began. This has, oh, it looks like it has French knots, but it doesn't. Okay, so this is just an ecru coloured Ada, and this was my first attempt at lacing, which you can see there. Just laced the back of it, and that's how it went in the frame. So obviously all this got covered up by the frame. It has since been taken out of the frame because the frame was reused for something else. But yeah, that's what lacing looks like, guys, at the back. It's easy to do. Keeps it nice and tight at the front. And I learnt that from a book, so that was good. 14 count ivory Ada. That was, sorry, just looked at my notes. And I can't tell you when I started or finished that, but it was a long time ago. Long time ago. And last, but by no means least, is a wedding card that I stitched for Emily, our friend Emily on FlossTube. Hi Emily. For her wedding this year, and this was from the Joan Elliott card book as well. And this design is called With Love Be Blessed. And it's this one up the top. So myself and a couple of other lovely stitchers put together a pack of goodies for Emily's wedding present, and I stitched a card. And I'll insert a picture of the card I made here. So I started this on the 28th of June 2015 and finished it on the 5th of July 2015. I stitched it on 28 count antique white cashel linen. And if I was to do it again, I would stitch it on Ada. I just really prefer finishing the cards off in Ada. It's just much easier than the linen. Stitch 2/2. I personalised it, obviously, with Emily and her girlfriend's name, or now her wife's name, and found a lovely trim to go around the card, which I finished it as an aperture card. And this one has lots of beads in it, actually. It's my first time putting beads in a card, but it was fun to do, and I know Emily really loved it, and that's all that matters. So that's it, we're done. 87 finishes. That's huge. But it's not really a lot when you look at 25 years of stitching. As I said, the majority of those finishes were in the last 2 years. I'm over 20 something finishes already this year, so it just goes to show I wasn't really obsessed with my stitching as much all those years ago as I am now, although I did still buy a lot of charts, and that is a video for another day, my stash collection. If I will put as much information as I can fit down below. If there's anything in particular you would like more information on that I can help you with, please leave a comment. I will get back to you and let you know if I can help. I appreciate you watching. I thank you all for your support. None of this would be possible without you guys out there watching these videos, because who wants to make videos if no one's watching them, right? So I appreciate all of you. I hope you enjoyed watching all my finishes. A year from now, I will do another finish video if you're all still watching, and hopefully there'll be even more finishes to show you. and maybe some more FFOs. Some more of, I'd actually like to get some of these finishes I've shown you framed or finished into pillows, something. Because they're just too good to put in a drawer or a cupboard, aren't they? Don't want to be doing that anymore. I want to show them off in my home. So thanks again, everyone. Take care, and I will see you all again next time. Bye for now.